Good evening and welcome to the first in a series of political forums for the candidates for office on November 5th. It is being brought to you by Cayuga Community College, The Citizen, and ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access. I'm your moderator, Guy Cosentino. On November 5th, the voters in the 3rd Legislative District in Cayuga County will be able to cast a vote for either incumbent David Axton or his challenger, Ben Vitale. The position of a member of the legislature is part-time, and the base pay currently is $10,100. That may all change, though. There is a proposal before the legislature to raise the salary to $18,750, not $750,000. You'd all take that job then. Before the legislature ends this year, that will not take effect until 2016. The 15-member legislature is divided among 9 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 1 conservative. The 3rd legislative district includes the towns of Mentz, Montezuma, and Troop, and includes the village of Port Barn. Representing the press today is a familiar face to those who read The Citizen. Jeremy Boyer is the executive editor of The Citizen and will be asking the questions of the candidates all through all of the forums this month. Prior to the taping of the show, the candidates drew lots to see who would go in which order for both their opening statements, which will be 2 minutes, and their closing statements, which are reversed for 2 minutes at the end. Our candidates who are sitting in the order of their opening statements are Ben Vitale, who is on the Democratic and Conservative line, and David Axton, the incumbent, who is on the Republican and Independence line. I want to thank you and welcome you both to the studio for giving us this next hour to question you. We'll start with opening statements, and Mr. Vitale, who is on the Democratic and Conservative lines, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cosentino. I'd like to thank everybody here for the opportunity. My name is Ben Vitale. I am seeking the position of District 3 County Legislature. Interesting question of why do I want to do this? A little bit of my background. I'm a 3rd-generation farmer. I also run the regional market in Syracuse, New York. And it's very important to me to find ways to give back to our community. Community means a lot to me. So this is one of the ways that I've always kind of wanted to do it. I've served over 10 years on our local school board. I enjoy the process very, very much, and I would love to accept this challenge if I were lucky enough to win. How am I qualified? Well, you know, I bring a lot of things to the table. My life experiences, from being a farmer to operating the regional market to heading national organizations. Gives me a lot of interesting things to deal with, and I really enjoy using them to provide services for my community. But in return, I also get a lot from it. Serving on the school board, I've learned a lot of things that I can use on my day job and on the farm, and so I look at this as an opportunity for me to also learn more. So I welcome the opportunity, and I hope for your support come November 5th. And if that happens, I'll thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axton, you are on both the Republican and Independence parties. You have 2 minutes as well.
Thank you. I want to thank Jeremy and Guy for having us, and thank the college for putting this on, as always. I'm a proud Rat Guild member myself. Doesn't seem like that long ago since I was behind those cameras, so it's a lot of fun for me to come back. I'm Dave Axton. I've held this seat for 6 years now. I'm going for my 3rd and final term. I am married. My wife, Robin, for 18 years, been together 25. I have two children, very proud to say they're high honor students in Port Byron. And both of them very good athletes. And my youngest is on the USA Luge team, which keeps us all on our toes. I serve on no less than 10 different community committees each year. I coach in the community. I am the chair of the NYSAC, New York State Association of Counties Committee on Native American Affairs and Gambling. I'm also on the committee for NACO, which is National Association of Counties for Fiscal and Governmental Affairs, as well as their Indian Affairs Committee as well. This has been a dream of mine to serve my community. I've always said, you know, I don't want to sit on the sidelines and watch. I want to take part, and this is a fantastic way for you to do that, and I want to continue it in my last term. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. As you both know, Mr. Boyer can ask questions of either of you or both of you. We'll go back and forth. You have 2 minutes for each answer. If you want to respond, just give me a signal and we'll have you respond, and we'll give people additional time for that. So we'll turn now to Mr. Boyer. He can ask any questions he wants. Mr. Boyer.
Thank you. Thanks for coming today and participating in this. We always appreciate it when candidates can help inform voters through this process. I'm going to start off with a question that Guy alluded to in his intro with the legislator pay. And just a little more background. Earlier this year, I believe, the legislature voted to eliminate the health insurance benefit for the legislators as of 2016. So I know in part anyway, some of the folks that have brought up a pay increase said that, kind of can help make up for that loss. But my question, I guess, with that in mind is, should there be a pay increase of any kind for the county legislators in order to help attract qualified candidates to run for office? And you can discuss whether the $18,750 is the right figure or not. Maybe if it's not, what would be reasonable?
And that's for both questions.
For both, yes.
Mr. Vitale, you'll go first. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, until I came here today, I didn't know what the pay was, so I'm not in this for the pay. I believe there's certain things that people have to take into consideration. If you're doing the job just for the pay, it's probably not the right thing to do. But on the other hand, it's also fair to people to put in the time and everything that they get some kind of reimbursement for their time or whatever. And if people think that the pay is too high, then it's time to re-elect somebody else. I'm very, very truthful in my position at the regional market. Whatever I get paid, if people don't look at that as valuable enough, then they need to replace me. And I look at it on the school board in the same type of situation. So the actual number, I don't think is such as important to the overall aspect as what the people are doing to get that amount of money. If you're just in it for the pay, then you're not in the right position. But you need to get compensated justly for the service that you provide. Whether the $18,750 is the right number, I truly don't believe that's the right number. And that's about my position.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axton.
I didn't support it back when the increase was going to be $2,500. Excuse me. Now I'm on the extra zero with you, and I certainly won't support it with the $8,500 increase either. And I don't think the legislature will. I've said all along that I think that people should run for these positions out of their civic duty and not out of what can the position give to you, whether it's benefits or whether it's the pay. I don't take any of the benefits. I don't take any of the insurance. So I'm very comfortable with what the pay is, and mainly because there are quite a few legislators that do work full-time hours at this position. But on the same thought, there are many that don't put very much time in at all. So to bump that up to $18,000, while many certainly would deserve that amount, many don't deserve half of what they're getting now. So I can't justify any move based on that. So I'm comfortable where it is. I don't see it going through our Ways and Means meeting. I'd be very, very surprised, and I don't think it's going to have any legs at all anyway.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Boyer.
All right. We'll move on to another topic that I alluded, or I guess I didn't allude to, but this could all be sort of a moot point because Ways and Means later tonight will be voting on the pay raise. But another issue tonight is the Emerson Park Pavilion contract that right now H&J Hospitality has the exclusive catering arrangement there at that facility, and the legislature is considering extending them another 3 years, I believe. So my question is, should that operator be extended, or I guess is it proper to do it now without going out to rebid the whole thing? Why or why not, and what do you think of how it's going so far? And I'll start that with Mr. Axton, since he's been in the
I do support an extension. 3 years, I don't think I really agree with the 3 years, but I do support an extension, and here's why. This vendor kind of jumped into this and is now kind of creating history. Creating a history that the next vendors can use when they come out to bid. Also, they are trying to book dates 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So what I would like to see is us extend this for a 2-year period, but at the exact same time, go out for bid for the day after that expires, which will give the current operator 2 years to fulfill obligations. It'll give people who are interested in having weddings or having an affair up there, it'll give them some confidence that their event is going to take place, their date is set, but it will also give a new vendor 2 years to start booking events themselves. So that way, you know, it can be a staggered type of situation. So that way, every 2 years, you know, people can just plan ahead. Because that's, you know, I worry about just turning it off tomorrow. There's a lot of people waiting in the wings with events that they want to hold, but they don't know who is going to be the vendor there. So I think staggering it would be a good idea. I know it's up for 3 years. I'm going to make the amendment to go to 2 years tonight and see where that goes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Axton. Mr. Vitale, you have 2 minutes on this as well.
Yeah, when it comes to these type of contracts, I'm kind of close to the state fair and some of the aspects with these contracts and things like that, and it's very difficult. When we're in a public entity type of position, you have to go out to bid. It has to be fair to everybody. The only problem is, as Mr. Axton said, you have to be fair to the people that use the facility also. So whether I don't exactly know what the original contract was, but you have to provide these contracts so that the contract period is long enough to provide them the ability to do things. And then, yes, correctly, you have to also have the next person or the continuation to be well in advance of a drop dead date, because otherwise what we're going to have in the county is we're going to have facilities that can't be used. And that isn't good for anybody. It's not good for the owner of the contract, it's not good for the county, and it's not good for our residents. So it's something that has to be really worked on fairly to everybody, but yet so people can plan.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Boyer.
We'll stay in Emerson Park for one more question, and this is more general. Just I know there's been work in the last couple of years, the pavilion, the biggest example, to make the park more attractive for people to come and use. For both candidates, you know, is there more that can be done over there, and what are some ideas maybe for how that could be more of an attraction, really, a regional tourism attraction for the county?
Okay. We'll start Mr. Vitale and then Mr. Axton.
It's a great question because obviously it's a very valuable public asset to our community. Years ago when I was a child, it was much bigger than what it is now. But it's something that takes a lot of work. I relate back to the regional market where, you know, when I got there in the mid-90s, late mid-90s, it was a disaster. And to bring it to what it is today took a lot of work. It takes a lot of planning and it takes a lot of thought. So whatever you do, you can't do it over a 1 or 2 year period. One of the things that you try to do is you try to make it appealing to more than what the people are that are using it presently. And how you do that, you just got to think about what kind of events draw what people. It's very easy to continue to draw the same people that have been there year after year after year. But our younger crowd is a little bit different group of people now. We have to treat them as equals to, you know, everybody else. So I see it at the regional market that I get some pushback when I do things for the younger people. And sometimes we just have to open up our eyes and face the music. Our parents did it when we were that age. So I would love to see the asset continue to grow and be appealing to our whole community.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axton.
Emerson Park is extremely difficult because it is seasonal. So anything you do there kind of you know, relies on what the market will bear at that time, basically. You know, there's been ideas thrown around about a hotel, which is kind of seriously in the works of going out for some more discussion on whether we can build a hotel there and without giving up the ownership of the property itself, because we don't want to give up that, but we'd love to have the hotel there, at least on the island side. There's been a lot of things thrown out there. You know, there's been ice skating paths and you know, restaurants, and you know, and again, all of those are fantastic ideas. We just need to make sure that they're going to succeed, and we need to make sure that the market is there for it, because we don't want to have another vacant building. So, you know, hopefully, you know, some of these things will come to fruition. I think the hotel is a great start. Getting people to come there and stay there will bring other businesses behind it. But I think first is the hotel. So hopefully we can get that going.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Boyer.
Okay. I'm going to move to a topic that I believe has been of discussion in your district, the 911 radio communications project. And I guess the rollout, there were some bugs, some gaps and things, and now they're talking about putting some new towers up in some places to kind of fix things. You know, with all that in mind, I guess, how do you feel about the current state of that emergency communication system in Cayuga County? Is it where it needs to be right now? What else needs to happen to bring it to where it should be if it needs to come up?
Mr. Axon, you go first.
Yeah, I think we're very, very, very close to having it fully operational. Back when we first started talking and planning it, the experts had told us that we could get by with X amount of towers. And we would have, I believe, 96 or 97% coverage. That's obviously kind of a, I don't want to say guess on their part, but that's what they felt it needed, the system needed. We went with the experts because we knew that if we need to go back, we can always add a tower, but we can't take towers away. And those towers are like $1.2 million each. So we decided to take the conservative route and go with the minimum that the experts had told us would work, with the knowledge that we could always add one or two later. I'm pretty proud that we'll have one in our village, so that'll ensure that our district will have 100% coverage. So I'm very happy with that. But there's also microwave issues, because the microwave controls the pager system. And the microwave eyes have to be able to see each other, direct line of vision. So the towers are difficult to place because they all have to see the next tower, and it creates a chain. So, you know, I think we're there. I know in the southern part of the county, they are absolutely happy because they had never had any coverage at all. In the northern part, we're getting to where we need to be with that. So, all in all, I'm proud of it. It certainly costs a lot of money, but it's something that needed to be done, and the money needed to be spent.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Axon. Mr. Vitale, 2 minutes on this issue of 911 and the cell towers.
Yeah, obviously 911 is very, very important. We have the way our county is shaped, it's very difficult. It's long and narrow, and there's areas way up north that are difficult, and then there's areas in the south that are difficult. But you know, the issue is that technology is going faster than what we build things. So sometimes there's opportunities just around the corner. So as soon as we solve this problem, there probably could be another opportunity for other improvements. So it's always good to take the conservative route, but it's also very important that I think that people look at, you know, what else is available around the corner. Because the technology just keeps going so fast, and it is important. I mean, I've lived for many years in an area where very light coverage, if any coverage, sometimes, and it's frustrating. But just a few years ago, we had no service, and everything was by telephone. So, you know, still telephone, but I mean, you just called the numbers, not 911. So we're gaining, and I think we're going in the right direction, but I also think that there's going to be technology advances just around the corner that's going to help it even more.
Mr. Axon, you'll have a minute.
There is no doubt, and we brought that up during the initial phases, that the technology is going to be different in 15 years from now, 20 years from now, maybe sooner. It's going to be a cell system, or it's going to be a satellite system, which will prove our current system archaic. But the issue was our system was failing rapidly, and it was almost to the point where it was failing every month, and we just couldn't take a chance. So the life expectancy of a system like this is about 20, 22 years, I guess. So I'm sure it'll survive that time period, and then by then I'm sure our next system will look totally different.
Okay.
That's what
We're all set. Mr. Boyer.
All right. Another high-profile decision that the legislature made this year was the county nursing home merger to essentially take the residents over to the renovated Mercy Rehab facility. My question for both of you is, was that the right decision that the majority of the legislature made, and essentially why or why not?
Mr. Vitale, you go first.
Because I'm not involved in the county legislature day to day, I don't have all the details of the whole merger and things, but I do know a little bit that the state has forced many of the counties, not just Cayuga County, to get out of the nursing home business. It's happening in Cayuga County, it's happening all over. The problem is I see it nationally, that everybody wants to get out of the public benefits game. And nursing homes they're really a public benefit. And sometimes it's very difficult. It looks like it's a lot easier just to privatize them and make it less expensive for a county or a municipality. That is what it is, but it probably had to happen. I'm not doubting that it had to happen, but the only area that I would have liked to seen a little bit is a little bit more of the control left within the county to have some kind of say-so within the organizations, whether it's one or two members on their board or some kind of input from the county aspect. And that's about the only thing that I can really see that could have been changed. But it goes back to the whole privatization thing. And are we always making the right decision to privatize a lot of these institutions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axon, you have 2 minutes on this issue of the nursing home.
We do have that on their board. We have, I believe, 2 legislators are going to be on there, as well as 2 or 3 appointed positions by the legislature. And we were also ensured that a majority of the placement of board members would be Cayuga County residents from different walks of life. So we will have a voice there, loud and clear. It was probably the hardest decision that the legislature ever had to make. And if it was about money, it would have been a very simple decision probably, but it wasn't. What it comes down to is the state does want all counties out of the business. And if we did not jump into this with Mercy, Mercy would have disbanded. It would have been gone. And those 300 and some beds would have been gone with it. So we couldn't just look at our own facility. We had to look at the county as a whole. And if we did not make this merger, we would have lost over 300 beds. So that made the decision much, much, much easier for me. The money thing comes afterwards, and that really had nothing to do with it in my mind. But what it came down to was, if we don't do it, we're going to lose the beds. And I was probably one of the biggest, I don't want to say opponents to Mercy Rehab, but I wasn't a big fan because we heard a lot of things coming from there. But my wife's grandfather was in there for an extended period, and it proved to be one of the most incredible experiences I've ever seen. He actually didn't want to leave once he got in there for his rehab. He enjoyed it so much. So that helped me make that decision. And I think together with the 2 cultures, the Mercy culture, the Cayuga County culture, I think it'll be a successful entity. And I'm proud that we did come to that decision. I think it'll be very good for the community.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Boyer.
An issue that's talked about a lot in the city, I'm not sure how much out in the towns, is the sales tax formula. And some folks in Auburn would like to be getting a little more of the total collection. And there's arguments pro and con about why the city should or shouldn't get that. But from your perspective as a legislator, you would have a voice in any kind of change. Do you think the formula should be reworked in any way right now to change the distribution?
Okay.
That's for both.
Mr. Axton, you
wanna
only
go
get
first?
2 minutes on this.
This may take me a little longer. I've been extremely vocal on this one. I will not support any change in formula that changes what my towns or village currently gets now, and here's why. Back in the early 90s, when the city decided to preempt, they did so with total disregard for how it would affect the towns and villages, or the county. They did very well for a long period of time. The county put their nose to the grindstone. The towns did some extra work. We attracted business outside of the city. Maybe not purposely, but it just sort of, evolution kind of, it happened. We were able to recoup some of those funds, and the city kind of sees a lot of the businesses growing outside of the city, and now they kind of want to come back and take part. They don't necessarily want to give up their preemption. They just want to be thrown a few more percentage points. Again, I will not go back to my towns and villages who suffered during that first 8-year period and tell them we have to take anything out of their budgets, because their budgets are so slim as it is. There is no fund balance out in my towns and villages. I know there's some towns that are pretty darn healthy, but mine aren't. And I just won't. I won't support a change in formula if it will negatively affect my towns and village.
Thank you, Mr. Axton. Mr. Vitale, on this issue of redoing the sales tax.
I'll agree that our district needs every dollar to get. I mean, there's no argument on that point. But the formula itself is formulas are convoluted in a way. I think the real issue is the total number of dollars. That's probably where the real issue is. And as Mr. Axton said, the topic of the taxes between the city and the county is very interesting. I also would not support giving up any money for our district. Our towns need every dollar they can get. But I understand overall, I don't think it's the issue of the formula. Formulas are very hard to come up with originally. They always react differently. But I think the real issue is that the total number of dollars is the problem. And over the past few years, a lot of the development has actually happened outside of the city. So that's good for those towns in which that happens. And so obviously, the city gets a feeling that they're getting shortchanged in the deal. But I guess I would give the city a challenge, and that would be bring more business into the city, because that'll not only help the city, but it'll also help the entire county. Without a strong city center in our county, the county suffers. So I'd like to see the city strong, and as a result, the surrounding entire county can benefit from that. But my challenge is back to the city to make it more enticing for businesses and things to actually go into the city and operate within the city limits.
Okay. Mr. Axton, you have 1 minute.
I don't think the sales tax formula is the city's issue. I think there are some other obstacles that they need to overcome that will certainly offset what they feel they need an increase in sales tax. I think if we increase their sales tax 2 percentage points in 5 years, it would prove that they needed another 2 more, because until they figure out a way to cut their spending, shrink their government, whatever they need to do to be able to cut their expenses, this is just going to be an uphill battle, because every other house in Auburn has a for sale sign on it. So until we can get a grasp on it, I don't see sales tax fixing the issue.
Mr. Vitale, anything to add? Okay. Just as a programming note, you are watching the forum for the 3rd Legislative District for the Cayuga County Legislature. That includes the towns of Mentz, Montezuma, and Troop, as well as the village of Port Barn. We have with us Benjamin Vitale, who is on the Democratic and Conservative lines, and David Axton, who is on the Republican and Independence line. Mr. Axton is finishing his 2nd term and is eligible under the county rules for a 3rd term. They're being asked questions by Jeremy Boyer, the executive editor of The Citizen. Mr. Boyer.
All right, well, thank you. Move on to a topic. I know Mr. Axton, I guess I'll start this as a question for Mr. Axton. You've spoken and put some ideas out there about highway department consolidation and as a way to help everyone kind of bring some costs down. My question is that still a goal to have a truly unified or, one countywide highway department? And if so, why are we not there yet?
I was pushing hard for a long time, and I just could not get any traction from towns or villages, or really the legislature as a whole. We are still working on a few little things where IRA shares some a storage facility, and a few towns kind of have bought into it. But there are other towns that are it's a turf war, and they don't want anybody telling them what to do, just like the county doesn't want anybody telling us what to do. So getting everybody on the same page and get everybody talked into it is going to be extremely difficult until the state kind of forces it on us financially in some way, which could come from CHIPS funding or could come down the road, and I think it will. But until towns and villages are kind of forced into it, I don't see it happening right away. I think it's got to happen voluntarily at this point. Between certain towns and some of the towns in the county, but to go countywide, I mean, I originally wanted to kind of regionalize it and create 4 or 5 different quadrants in the county where the county supported those regions, and while some certainly were in favor of it, a lot of towns were, a lot of them weren't. So until you can get them all on the same page and agreeing to it, it's kind of an uphill battle. But I'm still optimistic that we'll see it in our lifetime. I hope. Might not happen within the next 4 or 5 years, though.
Thank you, Mr. Axon. Mr. Vitale, about this issue of highway consolidation.
Yeah, consolidation is a buzzword that we hear all the time in everything in municipalities these days, and sometimes it has benefits and sometimes it has no benefits. But I think when I look at the overall picture, it's kind of hard when you see some towns with less than 20 miles of road and they have a complete highway program, and the amount of money that's spent on that, it appears to be wasteful and inefficient. Personally, Mr. Axon's right, there's a turf war battles that go on all the time, and nobody wants to give up what they have right now. One of the things that I look at as an intermediary is to try to get shared services and things like that. It's really hard because when you look at townships, whenever there's a battle brewing within the highway superintendent in that town, the vote all comes out. So it's very important to all the constituents in their town. But there's got to be a way to be more efficient, and I don't think you're going to see the consolidation. But I think one of the ways that we can kind of keep going in the right direction is to be sharing more and more services, and I think that's where we need to be. Even if you have separate highway superintendents, maybe they consolidate their workforce or equipment, but it's a very difficult and a slow process, and one you have to keep a lot of resolve and keep moving forward slowly.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Boyer.
All right, a question for Mr. Vitale, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, but going through our archives, I found a reference in there to you had some concerns about the disclosure form that county volunteer board members were having to fill out, that it was just more information that seemed reasonable to ask people to disclose. Obviously, if you get elected, you'll have to fill out one of those. Is that something that you would continue to balk at having to provide, or can you just tell us what your thoughts are on the whole issue of disclosure?
Yeah, absolutely not. It's a different story when you actually get paid from the county. I don't have any problem disclosing what my finances are or whatever, where I get my money from or anything like that. The issue that I had was with the Water and Sewer Authority. It's a volunteer board. I served on the board for 6 years. I don't think I missed more than one meeting for the whole 6 years that I served. And the financial disclosure is not the issue. The issue was the questions that were asked. And the one that upset me the most is, do you have any other income other than with the county? Well, they don't pay me anything as it is, so I hope I have some other income. So the first year, I actually signed it, and I put in some bogus answers, and it didn't really matter. And I was hoping I'd get a little bit of pushback. The second year, I just refused to do it. And so that's when I was brought before the Ethics Committee, which I didn't appear at, and obviously was taken off the Water and Sewer Authority. But as being a county legislature, I would not have any problem filling out the financial disclosures. The issue is, there is not an issue of of the disclosure itself. It's the issue of the questions that were asked and how they were asked of a volunteer board member.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vitale. This issue of the what is required and not required in disclosure forms for county boards and legislators. Mr. Axton.
I guess I don't know what the question would be. It wasn't, I've
I
been
mean,
filling out mine.
In terms of
the
what
whole time.
Mr. Vitale just said, I mean, is
Yeah.
that a position you agree with or not?
I'm not taking a position on his personal issue at all. We've been able to have a campaign that is not negative. I'm very close friends with virtually all of Ben's family. I vacation with them.
Well, let me put it to you a different way. I mean,
I am not going to get
Ben's,
into the...
Ben's speaking in a way on behalf of people that serve on water and sewer, soil and water, all these different volunteer
Non-paid boards,
Right.
I think is
non-paid
the
boards.
question.
If you're
Should the
asking me
county- can the
if-
county do something to? Is it appropriate, I guess, for the county to be asking questions, and it might even be legally required? But
I
in
believe it
terms
is
of-
legally required
in
by
terms
the
of
state of
what
New
the
York.
county does about that. I mean, is it?
I believe
fair?
it's legally required by the state of New York, and we follow what the state guidelines are if that's the situation. Mr. Vitale made a decision not to disclose, and he left the board. That's his business, and I know at the county level I fill mine out every year, and I'm good with that. But it's Mr. Vitale's business.
Mr. Vitale, you'll have 1 minute.
Yeah, the issue is not whether they should be filled out or not. My board at the regional market has to fill them out, just like everybody else. The issue was how it was asked, and it's very simple to ask the question just a little bit different. Do you have any other, do you have any interest within the county, or do you get any money from the county? That's how we do it with our board. I think it would have been very, very simple for the county attorney or somebody from the county to redirect the questions a little bit so it's more appropriate for a volunteer person that serves on a board.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Boyer.
County's on its third now administrator since that position was created, and I'm, just from your perspective, obviously you've been working with an administrator for a while, and you've observed how that's going. How is the system working, and what changes in terms of how much control this person has should or should not be made?
To get us back on track, because Mr. Axton had 2 questions in a row. First, Mr. Vitale just had the last question first. You'll go again, Mr. Vitale. You have 2 minutes on the county administrator.
I think a county administrator is important. We'll go back to what the pay the county legislators are making. It's not a lot of money. And so are you asking these people that are not making a lot of money to actually do the day-to-day operations of the county? I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I think if you look across the state, the counties that have a real administrator actually do a little bit better, can have a better focus on what's going on. But the problem is that we're still in a transition. As you said, might be the third person, but the old culture is still there. And in order to have a real county administrator, I think it really needs to be an elected position, because I think there's too many ties back and forth with the different legislators and who they're working for, and the give and take and the push sometimes aren't the best situation. So I think what we have to work with for the time being, but I think in the future should be to at some point end up with an elected county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axton, you have 2 minutes on the subject.
Historically, counties our size, the elected position doesn't quite work because there just isn't a demographic that can continuously put somebody in that seat that could do a really fantastic job. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, but historically, a lot of the smaller counties have trouble with that, which is why they kind of went to the appointed position, so they can look outside of the box. The county is a $140 million corporation. And until the past 6-7 years, it was run by a popularity contest. Basically, whoever got to be chair on the legislature ran the day-to-day operations of the county. Now, some of them did a very good job. Some maybe not so much. So the administrative position, I think, was totally warranted. We've got somebody running the day-to-day operations of the county that is a professional, and they can handle issues that come to them. Where a lot of us come from different walks of life, not saying we couldn't do a good job, but we come from different walks of life, and we're different types of people, which makes the legislature a really great thing because, you've got farmers and you've got lawyers and you've got, different people from everywhere. So it creates a good demographic. But, I've been part of all three. Tom was fantastic. I think he brought us really to the next level. Suzanne Sinclair has a lot of experience from Seneca County. She's come in. She's extremely strong in the financial end as well. Things are running extremely smooth right now up on the 6th floor, which is great. So I totally support it. And again, maybe down the road an elected one could work, but I'm just concerned that our county's not big enough to be able to handle that position. But could be.
Thank you, Mr. Axon. Mr. Boyer.
Economic development. I know the county earlier this year contracted with the Cayuga Economic Development Agency to be I always get my first stop and one stop mixed up, so I apologize. One of those things. The first
One
stop.
stop.
The one
One
stop.
stop.
How is that going as an initial question? But secondly, how much money should the county be putting into economic development? And there's also been this idea of devoting a percentage of the overall sales tax towards economic development. Is that an idea that you support as well?
Okay.
So it's for both.
Okay, and we'll start with Mr. Axon. So it's two parts. One is on economic development,
Yep.
and then sales tax.
I think it's working extremely well since Mr. Fish took over. I think he's doing a great job. He's got a lot of things he's planning, and I think his dual position actually works because he sees both sides of the door, which is kind of neat. So I think that works very well. I really would have liked to have seen the city come in and take a bigger role in it, but hopefully that'll happen down the road. And then the second part of the question was
Sales tax, dedicated funds.
Absolutely, I'd love to see a percentage of that go into economic development because that way we have roughly a guaranteed amount of funds going into that balance every year. Obviously it could change a little bit depending on how the year went, but I definitely think it's important for us to have a commitment. If you spend money, you normally make money, and investing into the economic development end, hopefully will yield returns because counties are all battling for the same economic dollars, basically the same companies trying to come in. So we need to go out and push even harder than we are now. And I think Mr. Fish has got us on the right track to do that with our economic development group.
Mr. Vitale. I
Ultimately think economic development is so important. I alluded to it when we talked about the sales tax formula. Again, we're going back to to privatizing something that was done, by the public entity in the past, and it's not in this situation. It's not a bad thing, but the issue that you can come up with at some point is that when this organization decides that it's had enough or it steps aside, how do you continue it? So that's the concern that I have. It's not that something is being done wrong right now, but I would like to look at the long term. And absolutely, economic development needs to have some kind of influx of money that's guaranteed so that it can continue. And that continuation is what is so important because there's only so many businesses out there, and to get them to come to Cayuga County or into Auburn is a challenge, and you have to work at it, and work takes money. But that's how we get ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Boyer, you've got about 3 more questions.
3, okay.
3 or 4. It depends on how long they take for the answers.
Sounds good. Here at the college where we're at, there's been quite a lot going on lately. One thing that has been put out there that I believe would have to come through the legislature eventually is a dorm project proposal that has generated some opposition, especially in the residential area around campus here. Right now it's on hold with the college working on its finances, but assuming that comes up again, where do you stand as a legislator representing folks that might have kids that want to go and live in a dorm? What are your thoughts on that project as a possibility for the college to move forward on?
Okay, Mr. Vitale, you have 2 minutes on the issue of the dorm.
What's really interesting over the last few years is how the community colleges, the 2-year colleges with actually some other things involved, have really blossomed. And if you just look across Central New York, a lot of the community colleges have really taken this next step to have dorms and to promote themselves in a much wider region than what they used to do. And so, you know, for us, for our college to stay competitive, you have to keep up with the changes. Our dorms, you know, are they a negative wherever? I mean, you just look at cities that have colleges inside them, and the cities grow from the colleges. So I don't disagree with having dorms in the for Cayuga County Community College, but you have to do it in a way that's beneficial to everybody. And I'm sure if you look at things long enough with enough creativity, there's going to be a win-win in there, and we will maintain this. This is another valuable asset to our community, and let's not strangle it in some way that we don't have it, because it's the one opportunity a lot of our residents have to come here, and plus we can draw people from the outside to bring in outside money to our community too. So I have to support whatever is going to be best for the college itself.
Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axton.
I'm one of those dads who don't want my kids to ever commute or go anywhere. I want them to stay home with me where I can protect them. So if they go to Penn State, I'll try to figure out how to get them to go back and forth. But the county doesn't have to give the college permission to build dorms. But what they have to do is come to us to be able to own property, the land that the dorm is on. The college can't own property. We can only own that property. So as far as the permission goes, that's what they really need us for. And the college absolutely needs to move in that direction to remain competitive. All of the other local community colleges all have those dorms, and students just, they want that experience. They want that college life. They may not be able to afford a four-year school right then and there. Or, you know, they may not be able to get into a four-year school, but they still want that college experience. And hopefully that college experience will allow them to be better students and then can move on to a four-year school. You know, same thing with the athletic fields. I'm in full support of whatever we got to do to be able to bring people to want to come to school here. And I know the dorms and the athletic fields are certainly going to do that. I wasn't such a proponent of the Fulton campus. Kind of wanted to make sure our own house was right at first. But, you know, that certainly, it did help our full-time enrollment. But, you know, again, I definitely think the dorms are worth doing, but hopefully we can figure out a way to do it so it doesn't upset the community here, who are kind of, you know, against it because of their property values and things. So hopefully we can make it happen.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Boyer.
Two more?
At least.
Okay.
We're keeping track.
all righty.
Ryan's over there keeping track. He's a sophomore
good.
here.
Something that's come up over the last couple of years is how much money the county spends or contributes, I suppose, to the Soil and Water District, and whether that's an amount that's reasonable, as well as whether the county is working, the district is working cooperatively with the county. So I'm going to ask you this question about funding. Do you think it's, and overall the relationship between the county and the district?
Okay. We'll start with Mr. Axton.
Okay. Seems like I'm going first every time, but that's okay.
I had Mr. Vitale going first on the
just
dorm.
kidding. We contribute more to our soil and water department than virtually any county in the state. Any county our size, absolutely. On average, counties contribute $200,000 to $275,000 a year. That's the average. Counties our size, slightly bigger, slightly smaller. I've felt for a long time that we contribute way too much. They provide an absolutely fantastic service, but they also have the ability to go out and make money for themselves, contracting with towns, contracting with different municipalities or entities to make money. I just always felt that our soil and water department kind of lived off of that $800,000 that we were sending that way, and never saw a need to go out and do any private work to bring in revenue. We're currently still waiting for $1.2 million of repayment from Soil and Water from the digester, which, candidly, I don't see it ever happening. I don't. And, I'm certainly for green energy, but I really, really, really worry that was kind of going to turn into be the white elephant of the county, and that's quite frank. So I hate to throw good money at bad. And if we had to walk away from the digester or whatever else we have to do, then, so be it. But I just can't, it's hard to justify keeping throwing money there without seeing any light at the end of the tunnel for return.
Thank you, Mr. Axon. Mr. Vitale, you have 2 minutes on the issue of the county's contribution to the Soil and Water District offices.
The Soil and Water District is very important to Cayuga County. I don't think there's going to be any debate in that area. The issue is really centered around how the operation goes. How can it be much more efficient? You go back to the past history, and you had somebody that was there for a good long time, had great relationships with the right legislators, and got the money put into the right areas where they wanted to expand and things. Once you see a change, so many times the sunlight gets through the roof, and you start seeing a lot of holes, and that's probably where we're at right now. And I think to really get a handle on it, somebody really has to analyze where they stand and how they can be much more efficient. We can't afford to spend good money after bad. I don't want to say it's bad, but you just can't afford to just keep putting more and more money into something without seeing some kind of return. And don't get me wrong, it's water and sewer is,
Do the same.
yeah, the soil and water is very important to our county, but I think it just needs a little closer look and try to make more efficient use of the money that we get, that the county gives to them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Boyer, last question.
Okay, I guess I'll end it with the Cayuga County office building downtown. It's an older building that's certainly needing some upgrades, but there's also been the idea of maybe even building a new campus out in Senate or maybe somewhere else. But what's your position on the county office building and the overall future of where that facility should be?
Okay. Mr. Vitale, you have 2 minutes on this.
My own personal opinion is Auburn is the center of our county, whether it's geographically or whatever. The city, our county revolves around the city to a point, and I think it needs to be in the city. The whole idea of the county office building with the upgrades and things, I can't disagree. Sometimes we let facilities go to a point that certain people want to see something new. We're in a position financially in New York State and Cayuga County, in the United States right now. We just can't afford everything right now. So, to be honest with you, I think I personally agree that it should be in the city, and I think right now is not the time to look at building a new building or making any drastic changes. We just have to pace ourselves because money is tight right now, and it's not going to change in the very near future.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vitale. Mr. Axton, you get the last word on this.
When I first got on, that was one of my things. I wanted to consolidate everything out onto County House Road, and the main reason is because of all the deficiencies in that building. There's deficiencies that probably add up to $12 to $14 million in that building now that has gotten behind. We could put that money to better use by expanding onto, say, the nursing home building now. Actually, for that amount of money that we have in deficiencies, we could create a great, efficient place, a center for the county to do business. Have everything in one place, have one person answering the phones versus 40, have one set of cleaners, having one set of maintenance people to be able to handle all of this instead of being checkerboarded all over the city and out on County House. I'm still a firm believer in doing that at some point, and I think it would be much cheaper in the long run because of the deficiencies that sooner or later we're going to have to address. We keep pushing it off because it's so bad. But sooner or later, it's gonna hit somebody, and it might not be, in 4 years. But sooner or later, the legislature is going to have to attack that and make that tough decision. Didn't have any, I had quite a bit of support to move forward, at least on a study, but it didn't come to fruition. But again, I still think I'm still a firm believer having everything on one property would be the most efficient way for us to do business. DMVs work out of malls all over the place now, and that's sort of been the norm. Keep a DMV within the city. The rest can probably move out without any issue.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Boyer, for the questions over the last 50 minutes. We're now going to go to closing statements. As we said at the beginning, we flipped a coin. Mr. Axton, you will be going first with your closing statements. Mr. Axton is the current incumbent in that position. He is finishing his second term. He is on the Republican and Independence line, and he has 2 minutes for his closing statement. Sir.
Thank you. Once again, thank everybody. This was fantastic and run very well, so I really appreciate it. Again, I'm entering my third term. I've proven to be a leader up on the 6th floor. I am very vocal, whether it's with my party or the opposing party. I work well with everyone, though I am tough. I mean, I represent my district very vocally, I guess I should say. I'm a leader at the state level. I represent our area at the state level in different committees, have a good rapport with Albany, also travel to Washington quite often, representing our district as well. And all of this is to bring back good things to Cayuga County. I work hard to try to keep the sales tax number within reach. I've never voted on a sales tax increase over 2%, which I feel is still too much, but sooner or later I'm hoping that we can kind of reverse that cycle that we've been on. Past legislatures have seen 10 points and double digits, and luckily I haven't had to be a part of that. As chair of Ways and Means, I've been able to work with the budget the past 3 years, and under my leadership on the Ways and Means Committee, been able to keep it well below 2% and cut spending. So, again, I'd like to have another 4 years to be able to finish a lot of things that we started, a lot of Indian Affairs issues that I work very strongly on, that I hope I can continue working on, and ensure that a lot of those issues are handled before I leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Axton. We'll now hear from Ben Vitale, who is on the Democratic and Conservative lines. Mr. Vitale, you have 2 minutes.
Again, I'd like to thank everybody for this opportunity. I think it's a great way to introduce the candidates to the community. I would, again, like to ask for your support. I have been very active in the community. I have a family that's very, very supportive of the activities that I do. So I think I have the ability to help our district countywide get into a better position and help the county, the city, and everybody to grow economically and on many different fronts. But again, with my background with finances and with running businesses, many people know the regional market. They know what I brought it from to what it is today. All done with just our own money that we generate from the rents that we collect on the market. There's no outside money that comes in. I think that's the way government needs to run a little bit more often. We need to look at efficiencies. We need to look at how we can have win-win situations so that difficult changes can be made, but yet a lot more people can benefit. I think that's where the future is, and there's a lot of difficult things that are around the corner, but I would love the opportunity to be able to be part of making some of those changes. So again, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you.
Okay, we want to thank both Mr. Vitale and Mr. Axton for joining us over the last 50 minutes to talk about the issues that are affecting your district. These have been the candidates for the 3rd Cayuga County Legislative District, which includes the village of Port Barn as well as the towns of Troop, Mentz, and Montezuma. We thank them for putting themselves out there. That is not always an easy task during this time of the internet and everything else that goes along with it. We also want to thank Mr. Boyer for his thoughtful questions. More importantly, we want to thank you, our viewers, for listening over the last hour to these 2 legislative candidates. And thank you for watching. I urge you to go exercise your right to vote if you're in that district for November 5th or in any of the other districts as we go through the rest of the campaign in the coming weeks. On Thursday, we'll have the candidates for the 7th Legislative District, which includes Democrat Keith Batman versus Republican Bill Harry. They're trying to replace legislator George Farron, who is complying with the term limit law and is not seeking another term. That will be followed by an interview with Stephen Barsky, who is now a Republican, who is a current incumbent. He is seeking re-election. His opponent, Frank Reginelli, could not make the 2 dates that we provided for a forum, Legislator Barsky will be interviewed by both myself and Mr. Boyer. Next week, we'll have the race for Senate Town Supervisor on Tuesday, and on Thursday, the race for Wasco Town Supervisor. And last of our legislative races, which will be for the 13th District, which pits incumbent Republican Timothy C. Lattimore versus Susan E. Martini, a Democrat in the city of Auburn. And the following Tuesday, we'll wrap up with our City Council forums. Because of the number of forums that we have on here at the college, you can go and download them on auburnpub.com after they run on Time Warner this evening. The Auburn Regional Media Access, ARMA, will also be running these forums on Saturdays and Sundays. For this particular forum, it'll run again on channels 12 and 98 for Time Warner, FiOS 31, starting at 4 p.m. As always, we'd like to hear your questions. You can contact us at cozguytho@aol.com. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cayuga Community College. We want to thank you for watching. We hope you have a good night, have a great tomorrow, and get out and vote.